Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Oh Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're speaking about the glories of the month of Kartik a little bit. A little bit. You can only speak a little bit because there's not much time, right? You can speak for many, many hours and hours on just the benefit of the practice of devotional service in the month of Kartik. I'm sure other people have already mentioned this during the classes here because this isn't the first class you've had on Kartik, right? For second one, right? Yeah? All right, good. So anyway, this month is probably the preferred month for the devotees of Krishna, because this month glorifies the beautiful childhood Leela of Krishna. The beautiful songs that we sing, the Astika, the 8 prayers of Damodar Astika. This is part of the important part of the process of devotional service. There's a song, part of this song, Iti Drikshwa Lila Bir Ananda Kunde. It means that Krishna drowned, like you're drowning, right? In these beautiful pools of ecstasy of Krishna's babyhood pastimes. Here in this material world, we're drowning in sorrows and miseries and anxieties because there's so many problems here, right? Now as the big election's going, everybody's calling each other bad names, and there's so much anxiety that they're trying to pit the Democrats against the Republicans and say that everybody's crazy on either side. It causes so much stress and anxiety, this whole thing, this whole process is so much a prominent feature of the age we're living in called the age of Kali Yuga, where there's so much quarreling and hypocrisy, cheating and lying. So Krishna himself, the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, he descends to this material world. There's a beautiful verse, many beautiful verses in the 4th chapter, but the one we're going to sing together is Janma karma chame divyam. Anybody know that verse? It's the 8th or 9th verse. 9. Okay, I'll repeat. Janma karma cha me divyam. Okay. Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yo veti tatvataha. Evam yo veti tatvataha. Tvaktva deham punar janma. Tvaktva deham punar janma. Naiti mam eti so Arjuna. Naiti mam eti so Arjuna. Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yo vedi tatvataha. Tvaktva deham punar janma. Naiti mam eti so Arjuna. So after Krishna himself established his supreme position to Arjuna in a certain way, he described to Arjuna that he and Arjuna were both giving that Krishna was giving knowledge to the Vivishvan, who is the sun god. And Arjuna said, well, he's way older than you, Krishna. How is it possible you were there with him? He goes, oh no, both you and I were both there. You just don't remember. And then Krishna said that because he descends in his transcendental form, his purified, unlimited, spiritual, original form, that he doesn't forget, but Arjuna, because he changes bodies, he forgets. And then Krishna said that he comes to reestablish the principles of religion, to annihilate the miscreants. So then he's describing this verse, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vedi tatvataha tvaktva punar janma naiti mameti swarjana. So Krishna, after explaining this to Arjuna a little later on, Arjuna wanted him to give further proof that he was God, right? So he asked Krishna to show him this gigantic universal form. Just, you can't really imagine, but just try to imagine that everything in the universe you could see in one place. Arjuna could see everything, Krishna manifests everything in the universe right in front of Arjuna's eyes. And Arjuna couldn't actually see it, so Krishna had to give him divine eyes. But then when Arjuna saw it, he became overwhelmed with fear because it was too big and too powerful. So, okay, that was Krishna back when he was right before the battle of Kurukshetra. But here we're glorifying Krishna's childhood pastimes, right? So one day, Balaram and the other little boyfriends of Krishna were complaining to Mother Yasoda, Yasoda, Ma, Krishna's been very bad. Really? What happened? Krishna's been eating dirt. Instead of your nice prasadam, Krishna's eating dirt. So Mother Yasoda came to Krishna. Krishna, is it true? No. They're just lying. They're not telling the truth. They're just lying about me because they're angry with me. So he goes, if you don't believe me, here, check my mouth. So Mother Yasoda comes up to Krishna's mouth and opens his little tiny mouth, right? Krishna's little baby. How old is he like that time? He's like 3, like that. It was before he took care of the cows. He was 2 or 3. So Mother Yasoda sees inside Krishna's mouth. All of a sudden, she looks into his mouth, and she kind of got like absorbed into seeing in Krishna's mouth, and she sees the entire universe inside of Krishna's mouth. So she's very bewildered, right? What would you do if you looked in your baby's mouth and you saw the entire universe, and then you saw yourself there with Krishna inside of his mouth in that universe? So Prabhupada said that becoming God isn't anthropomorphic. You can't do meditation and become God. God is already God. Even he was a little baby, and all the Mother Yasoda saw, and she didn't know what to think, because the greatness, this is the true greatness of Vrindavan. Usually we don't discriminate between the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha planets. It's all the eternal kingdom of God, right? But because we're glorifying Krishna in this beautiful month of Kartik, we're explaining a little bit of the distinction here in Vrindavan. That when you go back to the kingdom of God, God is the greatest person, right? He's the most beautiful. He's the most intelligent. He's the most witty. He's the strongest. He's the most everything in the spiritual world. He's the most attractive person there. He's so wonderful. Everybody's totally in love with him. And they treat him like he's the supreme person. They bow down. They're offering obeisances and singing beautiful songs, glorifying the Lord. But in Vrindavan, nobody even knows that Krishna is God. The main devotees, all the main relationships that they have with God, they don't even think he's God. They just think he's this wonderful young boy or this wonderful young baby. Why? Because it's not an official relationship, it's a sweet relationship. When you're glorifying the Supreme Person, it's all awe and reverence and very official kind of. But in Vrindavan, there's no official, it's just loving relationship. Just like if Prabhupada gave the example that there was some big governor or president in his office, and some other big important man was coming to see, right? And the secretary said, no, he's very busy, you can't go in, sorry, gotta wait. He's the big man, he's very busy. So the secretary left, so the man went and took a peek inside the room to see what the big man was doing, and he was carrying his grandson on his back like a horse, crawling on the floor, right? He was enjoying this intimate, loving relationship with his grandson. That was more important to him than being the big man. He was having fun with his grandson, right? So Krishna invites the most intimate, loving devotees to live in Vrindavan with him so they can enjoy pure sweetness in their loving relationships. So he comes to this world just to demonstrate that. He comes here to do that so that we can learn about it. So Krishna says, Janma karma chamedivyam, if you understand the nature of my appearance and activities, then you don't have to take birth in this material world anymore. But there are conditions. There are conditions. That if we think that we're God, which many people think, right? Or if we think we could become one with God, that's also an interesting misconception, that we actually have so much pride that we think we could become one with the person who created this whole place and who's so wonderful and supplying everything to every living creature, that we can become one with that person. It's quite preposterous, really, right? There's no way you could become one with Bill Gates right now because or Elon Musk, they're so rich. You can't become one with them because they got way more money than everybody can even conceive of. Maybe somebody will catch up, 1 or 2 people. 4 people. There's a lot of wealthy people in India also. But you can't just become one. And then there's the yogis who want to get mystic powers, or people that want to get just money. They worship money. They accept money as the supreme. Or there's those who think that the Brahman effulgence, right? The white light. We call it in America the white light. In India they say Brahman, right? They don't, here in America it's the white light. So if any of these things are your concept of the truth, then the idea of being happy in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead can't happen. You cannot become happy by serving. You won't even be able to serve the Lord because you have some other idea. So Krishna is saying, Sarva dharma parijyaja mamekam. Give up all these things and surrender to me, but you have to become educated first. You have to hear about Krishna. You have to hear about his position, how he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't know. We're thinking so many things could be God. So unless and until we understand the eternal nature of Krishna, then we can't really become happy, period. Because as long as you're chasing something that's material and temporary, you're chasing a mirage. You know what a mirage is? Like if you look down the highway and you see it looks like there's some water, like in the desert, you see this fluttering kind of atmospheric thing that makes you look like there's water. And the deers and the animals are chasing the mirage, and they die in the desert because there is no water. It's just an illusion. So Krishna is trying to help us understand himself, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That requires some qualification, some study. So, moving on to that, many of you here, how many here believe Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You're off to a really good start. So, in this material world, we're trying to learn more about Krishna. That's why you're coming here. But we're fighting against ourselves. Because in this material world, we do a lot of things which allow us to forget Krishna. There's so many things we do that allow us to forget Krishna. Because we don't have a taste. We don't enjoy hearing about Krishna yet. Right? It seems like poison to us to sit here and listen to a class sometimes about Krishna. We're like falling asleep or on the phone or some other thing we're doing. We can't stand hearing about Krishna because we're in ignorance. So the process is just like if you have a cup, let's say full of, like a glass full of muddy water, right? Go outside and mix up some dirt and some other junk from your yard, put it in a glass of water, and it looks very dirty. But if you put it in the sink and you turn the faucet on and pour clean water in, gradually it'll wash all of the dirt out of the cup, and it'll become pure water. So this Damodar Astika prayer, these books here, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto called the Krishna book, and the Nectar of Devotion called the Bhakti Ras Amrita Sindhu. These are 2 books that contain pure glorification of Krishna on the spiritual platform. There's a distinction between matter and spirit in everything we do. So one of the things that we're promoting is, y'all just had a wonderful experience here chanting a round of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's so enlivening and makes you happy to chant Hare Krishna. So the great acharyas have left these books, have left the Bhagavatam and the Nectar Devotion, so that we can use that to fill in our hearts and wash out some of the filthy things that we become filled with here in this material world. Our hearts are not filled with beautiful things here in the material world. We become very greedy. We want something more than what we need. We become very lusty to enjoy so many things in this material world. Our heart is full of lust, anger, and greed, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So, these things cannot make us happy. These things are the things causing us the distress here. So, when it talked about the beautiful pastimes, where the inhabitants of Vrindavan are being drowned in the ecstasy of Krishna's childhood pastimes, we have to clear out, by hearing about those activities, that clears out the dirt in our hearts. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam. It puts out the fire of anxiety that we're all having. We're in anxiety because we're insecure. We don't know, oh, am I going to have enough money to pay the bills? Am I going to have enough this? Am I going to have enough that? Am I going to get the proper husband, education, house in the right neighborhood, the right car? Am I going to have all these things proper? We're in so much anxiety about all these things. So, in the process of Krishna consciousness, these beautiful pastimes, they cleanse the dirt from our hearts. The Hare Krishna mantra cleanses the mind. It cleanses our minds. When you sat there a few minutes ago with your beads chanting one round, you had to have felt some purification. You feel peaceful, right? When you come to this temple, the temple of Srila Prabhupada, who established this temple, maybe some of you don't know who Srila Prabhupada is. We're not going to talk of that class tonight. But he's the founder, and he made it the priority for us to understand how to purify our minds and our hearts. That's why when we come here to the Hare Krishna temple, that's what we're doing. We're doing kirtan, we're doing japa, we're hearing Bhagavatam, just to cleanse our minds and our hearts. And if you do it, then you feel purified. Anybody who does it feels purified. If they do it consistently, then they feel purified when they do it. So, the great devotees who Krishna sends to this material world, they come to distribute pure spiritual vibration in the form of the narrations of Krishna's pastimes. Nana Shastra Vichadanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Gopi Bhava Rasamritabdi Lahari. The Goswamis, these 6 Goswamis who are the direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya, they were actually the eternal associates of Krishna, and there were the gopis, the different eternal associates of Krishna. And when they came in the form of renunciates, these great, sweet, humble, purified people who were writing these gorgeous songs of their eternal revelation from the Srimad Bhagavatam and from their eternal position, the vibrations that they create through these beautiful songs, like we just sang, Jaya Radha, Madhava, Kunja Bihari. We're singing about Vrindavan and these great souls. So we have this powerful process to purge ourselves, to become purified and cleaner gradually. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes years to become purified by the chanting and hearing of the glories of the Lord. So this month is that grand opportunity for all of us to get a jump start. You know what jump start is? It's like you get a special extra bit of like a gift kind of to get started. Like if you need a business loan or something, or a car loan or a house loan, somebody comes by and gives you the first 50,000, right? That's a real beautiful gift. So in this month of Kartik, it's like you're getting a free 50 grand. It's like if you spend a few hours a day chanting the holy names of the Lord and hearing about the Lord, then you'll get even more benefit. You'll get huge amounts of benefit if you take the time to do it. That's our business. Our Prabhupada's business, the business of Lord Chaitanya, the business of Krishna, to reestablish religious principles means to purify ourselves so we can become happy again by remembering Krishna. So, when you hear the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, they're so sweet. Madhuram, 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 Madhuram. There's these beautiful songs describing the sweet, beautiful feet of Krishna, the sweet, beautiful smile of Krishna, the beautiful, sweet expression on his face. There's so many descriptions of how Krishna's pastimes are sweet. So, we've heard, how many of you here have the Krishna book? How many people here have Krishna book? Okay, there's quite a few. There's quite a few that don't have the Krishna book. That's the book here on the right. And on the left, Nectar of Devotion. How many people here have Nectar of Devotion? Much less. Okay. So these books are available to you. We have them displayed here so that you can get a chance. There's a beautiful pastime of Krishna that he consistently did when he was in Vrindavan, is that he would constantly, with his little friends, he would break into his neighbors' homes and steal butter and yogurt. Right? Anybody remember Krishna's name for that? Makan Chor. So, Makan is what? Butter. He's the chor, he's the thief. So, the devotees there in Vrindavan, they really appreciated when Krishna would come and steal from them. Here we don't really appreciate thieves very much. We try and unfortunately now it's getting worse, right? Especially in California. So when the devotees would come, when they knew that Krishna had a certain time of the day, usually when he would go and steal his butter, right? He would first have breakfast. Of course, this is when he's really little. This is before he got older. So the devotees knew, like Mother Yasoda knew when Krishna would leave the home. So Mother Yasoda is Krishna's most loving. She's like the personification of love. She's the most loving mother. So what her and some of her friends would do is when they knew Krishna was getting ready to go steal the butter, they would sneak behind Krishna and they would hide and they would watch Krishna as he's stealing his butter. They would watch him as he would talk to his friends and watch his beautiful facial expressions as he was planning the whole scheme, whose home they were going to break into, how they were going to get into the locked rooms, how they were going to get up high when they would have their butter and everything hanging from the rafters. So Mother Yasoda and their friends, they would spy on Krishna just to watch how fun it was to see Krishna scheming and planning. This is in the Nectar of Devotion. There's a part of the Nectar of Devotion that describes the different beautiful eternal relationships that Krishna has in the spiritual world. How much time do I have? Huh? Okay. So does anybody know those relationships? They're described in the Nectar Devotion. Part of our wonderful International Society for Krishna Consciousness is that we're trying to give people an opportunity to learn these transcendental literatures. And the Nectar Devotion is one. We have a thing called Bhakti Shastri. You may have seen the offer on the board. There's someone teaching the course of Bhakti Shastri. But you can get the books yourselves and study them. Nectar Devotion, Bhagavad Gita, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Nectar of Instruction, Shri Ishopanishad. Those are the first ones for the Bhakti Shastri. But the first relationship is neutrality. Neutrality. Neutrality means that it's those persons who are now absorbed in devotional service completely, 24/7. Their minds are so fixed on Krishna that now they're coming into the spiritual platform. If you've studied Bhagavad Gita a little bit, there's one verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasoshati Nakangshati Sama Sarveshu, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. That once we get really absorbed in devotional service, then we come out of the time factor. Our consciousness is no longer influenced by the time factor, and we come to the eternal platform of eagerly wanting to serve Krishna, eagerly engaging in Krishna's service. That's the nature of us, the soul, is to actually, our original consciousness is eagerly engaged in loving service to the Lord. That's our original consciousness. So right now our consciousness is covered because that's not manifesting. We're like, yeah, I'll come once a week to the temple, yay, and that's really good. Keep doing it, don't stop. But the goal is by the end of our lives is that we should become completely absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna and service to Krishna and service to the Lordship, Shishi Radha Kalachandji, your deities at your other temples, your Krishna deities, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra Maharani. So the second one is fraternal or friendship. So first neutrality, then friendship. There's different varieties of friendly relationships that Krishna has. In Vrindavan, all the little cowherd boys are his friends, pretty much. Those are his closest friends. There's many, many of them. Arjuna, in Bhagavad Gita, he is Krishna's friend. Krishna explains why he's even explaining Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Anybody have an idea why Krishna what he's saying to Arjuna? Bhaktosi priyosi me. That he's his bhakta and he's his friend. So this friendliness to Krishna is part of our process of Krishna consciousness. That we want to make Krishna our friend. That actually we want to become Krishna's friend. Krishna's already the most friendly to us. He's feeding every living being in the universe. The ants, the elephants, everybody's getting food, right? Everybody's eating. Can't even imagine how many living beings that is. Just between here and the highway, there's too many living beings to count. The grass, the bugs, the ants, a few humans here and there, there's how many billions of humans. And that nobody has a problem eating. Of course, we mess things up as humans. We become greedy and make it hard to get food and expensive to get things, but if we start to learn how to execute Krishna's desire, how to make our desire Krishna's desire, then we'll become blessed and all of our desires will be fulfilled in relationship to Krishna. Third one is the parental love. Just like we have the parents here with our beautiful little devotee, and the relationship between parents and the children is very sweet and beautiful. And Krishna's parents are the personifications of love. So sometimes here in America we know from Christianity that God is the Father, right? So that means we take service from the Father. The Father takes care of the family. The Father's taking care of everything. He's the one supplying. They say, oh, Father, please give us our daily bread. But here the relationship's turned around. Now the parents are taking care of God. Mother Yasoda is thinking, if I don't feed little Krishna, he'll starve. Right? Much nicer relationship. God's already supplying everything to everybody. But here, the parents are thinking, no, God's going to starve. Just like our cooks here in the temple, if they want to make a lot of advancement, then they have to think that I have to get there to feed Radhakala, Chandra, and Gauranitai and Jagannath, because if I don't feed them, they'll starve. And I better make their prasadam really, really good, because I'm cooking for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Has to be the best. And then the pujaris, those who dress Radhakala, Chandra, they have a very intimate service. They're able to actually touch and dress the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's also kind of a parental. Mother Yasoda would say, Krishna, like the one pastime, Krishna's playing so much with all of his little friends, and Balaram's mother Rohini goes out and she says, Krishna Balaram. And they're like, time to come home for lunch. And they're like playing too much, so they disregard Mother Rohini. And so she goes to get Mother Yasoda. Mother Yasoda says, Krishna, Kanayalal, Balaram, please come now to have your lunch. Nanda Maharaj can't eat until you come to have lunch. And she has so much love that milk's flowing from her breast as she's talking to Krishna. She's got so much ecstatic love for Krishna. So Krishna gets up to come, and his little friend said, Krishna, if you leave now, we're not going to let you play anymore, because we're right in the middle of this fun stuff we're doing. And if you leave now, it's going to ruin everything. So Krishna Balam turned around and went back. And Mother Yasoda was like, Krishna, do you think that you're a street boy? That you don't have a home? She goes, look at your little friends. They're all dressed up with beautiful ornaments and sandalwood paste, and they're all dressed up. See, they ate, and their mothers dressed them up. So come home now, have your lunch, and I'll dress you up. And today is your birthday ceremony, so you have to go home and give cows and charity to the Brahmins. So please come now. So Krishna was like, oh, okay, we got to go now. Mother Yasoda called him with too much love and affection, and she chastised him a little bit. So the parental love, the taking care of Krishna, is very, very important. That we try to take care of Krishna's desire. Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, one of his desires. And he tells the glory of his devotees. He said, one who explains Bhagavad Gita to the devotees is most dear to me. So Srila Prabhupada explains that in many different places, that those who try to help others become Krishna conscious, para upakar, doing benefit for others, that those persons are recognized by Krishna, that they're trying to help to bring people back to Krishna's family. People have forgotten that they're actually unlimitedly happy spiritual beings in relationship to loving service to Krishna. We've forgotten that. And we've accepted the temporary miserable world as all in all. Woo! We made a big mistake. We're in total illusion. We think that this place is our home. We're going to be kicked out of this place so quickly. Everybody has such a short life. How many people here have dead grandparents? Almost everybody. Half the people. The great-grandparents, everybody's gone, right? Or the great-greats. Everyone's gone. We're heading down that road. We're getting old, getting sick, getting all kinds of problems. So it's actually like, it's kind of important, and it's very urgent that people get the opportunity to hear about Krishna, because then they can have the opportunity to wake up. Just like if you're watching on the street, you're walking on the sidewalk, and there's a blind person getting ready to walk into the street, into traffic, you have to stop that person and say, Stop, stop. You're getting ready to get killed in traffic. Or you're going to walk off a cliff or fall, some perilous thing's going to happen to you. So Krishna comes and he killed millions and millions and millions of people. Krishna spent more time killing demons than he spent time in Vrindavan with his devotees. And then he speaks Bhagavad Gita. He wants us to get enlightened. He's like, wake up. So Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago, who's Krishna. And he's saying, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. Wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up. You're sleeping in the lap of the witch Maya. And you're suffering repeated birth and death over and over again. Wake up. Besides me, you don't have a friend. All of your friends who are teaching you that you're this body and that you're gonna enjoy in this material world, they're not your friends. I'm your friend. I'm teaching you. Please try to understand. You're not the body. You're an eternal servant of the Lord. Wake up, right? Lord Chaitanya is crying and begging people. They were falling in people's homes on the ground, begging and crying, please, 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 Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shiksha. Please worship Krishna, offer obeisances to Krishna. They were fulfilling the desire of the Lord, who says, Manmana bhavamad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me, offer obeisances to me, worship me and become my devotee, and you'll come to me. I promise you, because you're my dear friend. So Krishna is like, why do we want to continuously suffer here in this material world? Why? We have so many good reasons though. Well, I still have too many bills to pay. I still want to make more money. I need a bigger house, a bigger car, and a bigger business. And I need more expensive jewelry. And I need more of this and more of this and more of that. And then when you're on your deathbed, where can you keep any of that stuff? You can't keep any of it. So at the time of death, we're crying, oh, I've wasted my life now. What am I going to do? Doctor, can I pay you millions of dollars to keep me alive for another year so I can do some more stuff? Sorry. Life's up. Got to go. So Krishna is coming and appearing himself, showing his ecstatic pastimes like in these paintings here around the room. Krishna's blissful paintings, blissful pastimes here depicted in these pictures. He's full of ecstasy. The devotees can't even function sometimes in Vrindavan. They're in such ecstasy. Yeah, anybody have little babies that are just learning how to walk? A few of you might have, right? You've all been through that, your parents, right? When your babies start to crawl, right? Krishna's in Vrindavan with Balaram and they're crawling and they want to stand up. So what do? They crawl up to the little calves, the little baby cows, and they grab their tails because their tails are hanging down. So as they're crawling, they can sit up a little bit and grab the tail of the cow, right? And of course, Krishna is there just to give happiness to his devotees. So the cows get scared and they take off running. But Krishna and Balaram hold on to the tails. So they're being drug around in the pasture grounds with all the mud puddles and all the milk puddles and the puddles of cow poop, right? And the cows are dragging Krishna and Balaram through this beautiful pasturing ground. And Krishna's mother and all of her friends, they're screaming, they're laughing so loud. It is so fun to watch Krishna getting drugged through the mud puddles and the poop puddles and the cow and the milk puddles as they're hanging on to the tails. Can you imagine how fun that is? Have you ever seen that before? Nobody's ever seen that. Krishna is just creating so much ecstatic fun for all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They can't even, they're so happy they don't even know what to do sometimes. They're so inundated with ecstasy that they can't even see because their tears are flowing from their eyes so much. So our tears here are some other kind of tears. We don't have like tears of ecstasy here much, a little tiny bit maybe, right? Mainly our tears here are because something bad happened, somebody died. We had to go get an operation to have something removed. There's so many tears that we're crying here. But they're in Vrindavan, they're crying tears of ecstasy. So thank you all for coming to this program during the month of Kartik, the beautiful month where you get lots more benefit just from chanting the holy names here. But we have to become a little serious. We have to become a little bit serious about understanding Krishna's instructions and how to worship him properly. We have to learn how to approach, how to develop faith in the process of hearing and chanting, how to approach Krishna's representatives, the spiritual masters, and hear from them about Krishna. Then when we become a little bit serious about this hearing and chanting and the serving, then when we hear the Hare Krishna mantra, it will stay within us and it will produce our connection to Krishna. We'll feel great happiness. But if we're not serious, when we hear the Hare Krishna mantra, it'll go in this ear and come right out the other one. We won't really enjoy the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So it's very important that all of us as intelligent human beings study these books. I introduced these books before there were so many people in here. Now again, this book, Krishna, on the right side, well, I guess they're mixed. There's Krishna books and Nectar Devotion. These two books describe much of all of Krishna, so many of Krishna's pastimes when he descended here. So I want all of you to come who don't have these books, to come and leave a small donation, take these books home with you, and read these books, and understand more detail of how wonderful Krishna is. That Krishna is the most wonderful. We're not the most wonderful. We may think we're really wonderful, but we're not the most wonderful people. We sometimes even have qualities that others don't like in us, right? Sometimes people call us names and point out our faults because we have this big ego thinking that we're so wonderful, but we may not be so wonderful. So these books tell how really wonderful Krishna is. Anybody have any question or comment? We only have a couple minutes left. Somebody who heard the class, anybody have a question? You look like a very intelligent young man. Something. Anybody have a question or comment? Yes. Thank you. It's on. Just speak really close to it. Put your mouth right up there. There you go.
So everybody saying this Kartik month is special to Radha Mata, but we always saying about Krishna, praising Krishna, Krishna Leelas. Why not about saying Radha story or about Radha speciality?
Yes, Radharani is very confidential. She's not cheap to understand. Just like Krishna is not cheap to understand. But Radharani is there, especially this month in Krishna's childhood pastimes. Like when Radha appeared, she had her eyes closed, right? She wouldn't open her eyes. So after some days, Narada Muni came and explained to everybody what was going on. And so then Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj came to see Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtida, the parents of Radha. And little Krishna snuck into the nursery room of Radha, and he crawled up, and Radharani first smelled Krishna, because it has a beautiful fragrance. And then Krishna touched her. And then she opened her eyes and saw Krishna first. So Radharani's whole life is to please Krishna. She's the pleasure potency of Krishna, Hladini Shakti. So when we sing the Hare Krishna mantra, we're singing her name first. Hare, it's Hara. Hara is the name of Radha. It means the Hladini Shakti, Hladini Shakti. Then in the vocative, in the pronunciation of the mantra, it's Hare. So we're saying Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It begins with Radha and ends with Radha. So because this is not cheap, these pastimes are very difficult to understand because we think we're these bodies. We think this flesh and blood is ourself. And we think because we have male or female bodies that somehow those are the same as Radha and Krishna's bodies. They're not. They have substantial bodies which are full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. They're inconceivable. So one of the reasons why we don't say so many pastimes of Radha and Krishna is because nobody understands the difference between the body and the soul. We think that they're doing the same crazy stuff we're doing here when we have our illicit connection with women and men here. We equate them with us because their bodies are the origins of our bodies. We have human forms because of them, not the other way around. We're thinking, oh yeah, well, Radha and Krishna are like me and you. No, 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 no. Not like that. They're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarna Karnam. Krishna's body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Radharani is the creation of Krishna. She's the internal potency of Krishna. And all the gopis, all the goddesses, the Lakshmis are all expansions of Radha. And they subsist on the beautiful relationship of love with Krishna and the different incarnations of Krishna. Sita, Ram, they didn't have material bodies. Their bodies are transcendental. Like we sing, Namam Ishvaram Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. So it's very difficult to understand that, right? So please don't take any offense, but we don't say so much even about the whole pastimes in Vrindavan because we're very confused. We don't know that we're not this body. We think this is us. We're convinced this is us. It's not. We can't take it with us. When you get old, I'm 68, had a stroke about 1.5 years ago, took out my legs. My wife had 3 strokes. She left her body about 1 year ago, late February. So we can't take this with us, but still we're thinking that we're this body. We're so confused. So it takes training to understand Krishna properly. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has 9 cantos, many, many volumes of books, which describe how to understand Krishna. Then the 10th canto, which is the Krishna book in story form, is Krishna's pastimes. But Prabhupada, I'm telling you, I'm recommending you to read the 10th canto about Krishna, and there's pastimes with Radharani there in the gopis and the rasa dance. But Srila Prabhupada explains everything very deeply so that we will not be confused about who Radha and Krishna are, thinking that they have material bodies like we do. So that's the reason why we don't talk Ras Leela or all these things in public, because we don't know the difference between the body and the soul. So that is sacred and protected. The intimate pastimes are sacred. The childhood pastimes of Krishna are very sweet. We can understand Krishna is the sweetest little baby, right? Bala Krishna. We can have some appreciation. It's a little easier to accept that here's this sweet, sweet baby Krishna. So that's why we don't get into those deep pastimes. We would rather understand the difference between the body and the self and understand the other Leela incarnations of the Lord and the pastime and the teaching incarnations of the Lord that come throughout the creation of this universe. Millions and millions of incarnations. They're the main ones that the Bhagavatam talks about. But we have to become educated. We can't take it cheaply. They have the Bhagavat Sapta, right? Where people come and they talk about the rasa dance. The speakers don't really know the process of devotional service. And the people, they don't really know. But there's benefit because you're hearing something about Krishna. There's definite benefit. But the real benefit is when you actually learn how to take the process of bhakti or devotional service as your path in life. Then, by hearing and chanting about Krishna, your mind becomes cleansed and you become happy. And then Krishna reveals himself. This is a process of pure revelation. We cannot understand the Supreme Lord. That's why he comes down and displays himself. We're too small to understand. We're too absorbed in material passion and ignorance to understand. So we have to take up the process by which the Lord is pleased with our service, and then he's in our hearts. He will then reveal himself to us as our devotion pleases him. He'll be pleased to reveal himself. It's not a cheap process where you think you have such a great mind that you can go. It says in the Brahma Samhita that pantastu koti shatavat sharasham pragamo. You can travel for millions of years in your mind and you still won't reach Krishna's feet. But here you can see Krishna's feet. Kalachandji's lotus feet. So Prabhupada brought this beautiful process. And we have to learn how to follow the process. And then gradually, every day, if you follow the process, you'll be inspired and be happy every day. If you chant Hare Krishna every day, and you study and you hear about Krishna every day, and you offer your food to Krishna every day, and you do some kirtan every day, you will be inspired and happy every single day of your life. That is a fact. But we have to try. We have to try. We can't just, so much speaking. It's all just a bunch of words. But those of us who are trying it, we're experiencing that. It's true, it happens. Sorry, that's a long answer to the questions. I went overtime a little bit here. Thank you for your beautiful question. And if you want to know more, we can talk later, but this is the end of the class. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai. Shri Dhammadar Leela ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji Bhagavan ki Jai. Go Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bo.